It's very nice to meet both of you.
Nice to meet you.
First, I want to play the blame game real fast. Who is to blame in this incident? Is it... I didn't give you the options, yeah.
I was just trying to point at him before he pointed at me.
I was going to say, is it the locals who brought him there, the captain who brought him on the ship, or is it the girls who lied about not knowing how to scuba dive?
If somebody was going to go to jail, it would be Captain Taylor, because they would bring him up on the equipment, the shoddy equipment, and allowing somebody to go underwater that's not certified, you have to have a certification to be scuba diver. Maybe not in Mexico. Yeah, I would go to jail.
Right? And see, that kind of leads me to a question I was going to ask later. How soon do you think Captain Taylor is going to take somebody else down?
He might have hightailed it. Yeah,
it could be the sequel.
Yeah.
For you, this is not your first horror film.
No, I've done a couple.
Yeah. So,
years,
do you have an attraction to the genre, or?
Yeah, I do. I grew up watching horror films. Friday the 13th, and Nightmare on Elm Street, and all those type of films, and. Matthew, you were sort of saying earlier that this is a really interesting horror film because it has a kind of central villain that isn't supernatural. Yeah. And that was what was really interesting about this film, because like some of the other films I've done where, you have to have a bit of a, you have to sort of, pretend that like these things actually exist.
Sure.
Sharks are very real, and if you don't treat them with the proper respect or deference, some really bad consequences will follow. So yeah.
Yeah. What was kind of I'm curious about the ratio of you actually on set to just doing audio recordings, because most of you are through a speaker.
Yeah, it's probably more my voice than on camera. Yeah. But it was, again, as I mentioned, my father was a drive-in theater manager, and I grew up in Utah. The Promise Valley Playhouse used to be our theater. It was called the Lyric. Mm-hmm. And then we had, I think there's one drive-in left in Utah called the Redwood, and that was part of the chain of drive-ins that we had. But this was a kind of movie, when I read the script, that was a big summer blockbuster at my dad's drive-in. This was the kind of movie my dad would have been so happy to be able to book and have in his theaters, because he knows that the audiences will love this kind of movie. It's a real popcorn movie.
Sure.
And the supernatural thing is something that's really interesting. When I was working with Stanley Kubrick, we had a lot of time. We were together for almost 2 years making the film. And we talked a lot about horror films and why horror films are so appealing to people. And we boiled it down to the idea that it was because they offer people some kind of solace, that if there's something evil, there must be something good. Yeah. And if there's a vampire comes back to life after death, then that's something. Yeah. So in a way, it's like a kind of religion, that it gives you the hope that there's something else after we expire and die from this life, that there'll be something else, no matter how weird or horrible it might be. Yeah. Right. But as Yanni mentioned, that this film it has all those aspects of a horror film without the supernatural.
Yeah. You brought up Kubrick, which brings me to another question. How would Private Joker handle this situation?
He would have. He's a survivor. He would have been really calm. He'd have assessed his situation. If he was bleeding, he would have wrapped it up, climbed out of the cage, and in the slowest of slow motion rose to the surface of the water. That you want to stay calm. That the sharks are attracted by distress. That if you're flailing about and stuff, and that's what they're going to be attracted to. So you want to be calm. You don't want to look like you're wounded.
Gotcha.
Private Joker would have made it. Okay. He's a survivor.
Pleasure meeting you.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
Thank you so much.